What is going on, everybody? I am live again, joined today by Thomas Ellington, or on Twitter, the @Jewservative.
Hey man, how's it going?
I'm good, man. I figured we'd finally get together and start something and, do something live since we, jumped in a couple of streams like on the Cunt stream together and stuff.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, those guys are pretty funny. That's what actually I was doing before I jumped on here. They asked me to come on because they, needed to fill a host spot. And so I did about an hour and a half with them. And they usually go like 2 hours, 3 hours. So I dived out after we figured out what we were doing.
Was that tonight?
Yeah, I literally was just over there until about, what time? 9:20 my time.
Yeah, you do good work on that stream.
Yeah, I like those guys, and they actually he Schmeckel, the host and owner of the channel, he decided to have me do their Thursday nights with him, and so I'm gonna be doing a regular show with them on Thursday nights.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool, and actually I got connected to them from Bering, and Bering found my stuff and was like, you know what? You don't have enough eyes on your channel, man. He's like, how about I toss you out to some streamers and we get some more, people coming across your content. I'm like, dude, if Bering wants to help me, I'll take it,
Yeah. That's one of the great things about Bering. He keeps an eye out for smaller channels that aren't well known. He did that with me too when I was doing the Kilray stuff. And he did a stream with me when I had, I don't know, a couple hundred followers maybe at that point. It was pretty cool of him. I like that he has that sort of mindset where he's looking out for smaller channels.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest things when you have someone who's that big, who is willing to, kind of share out the smaller guys and the people who actually need help.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it shows that he doesn't think of himself as being too big for that stuff, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. And especially for how big he is compared to like some of the other guys you try and, connect with or get involved with, and they don't tend to do as much, like I know Tonka and Failure do a lot of stuff for people. Like I was talking to Tonka, and I actually think I might be having him on in a week or two once he gets adjusted to his new sleep schedule. So that should be a fun time.
His new sleep schedule. What's the word on that?
He was saying, he's like, oh, I usually go to bed after I do the kumite, and then he's like up all night.
Yeah. I know his schedule is really weird. It has been. What is he looking to change it to?
I think he's going to shift it more where he's up longer in the day, I think is his goal, from what I'm guessing based on our talk.
Yeah, I think he should. There's not a lot going on at 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, not at all. And like, just unless you're working like a graveyard shift, I could understand being up that late. But for Tonka to just, focus on the kumite and his content, and then, go to bed after he gets done with the kumite, it's kind of a pretty fucked up sleep schedule,
Yeah, it's really weird. I guess you could call him a night owl, maybe. It's an unusual. It's very unusual sleep schedule.
Yeah, he's one of the guys. I was talking to him yesterday about someone was coming at him saying stuff about, oh, your dad was a child molester or a rape artist or something, just throwing out slanderous bullshit. And I was like, dude, you don't fucking know what you're talking about. Stop being an asshole. And this is some guy that has the pedo name, and is like calling Tonka's dad a pedo. And it's like, Tonka's like, dude, they don't know my parents. They know nothing about me. They don't know my real name. So he's like, what the fuck ever. He's like, but thanks for defending me.
Yeah. These guys, they think they have some big ammunition, but a lot of times they're shooting blanks and they're firing wildly.
Yeah, it's just that mentality of, oh, I hope it catches on because then someone might believe it and it might get spread as fact, you know?
Yeah, I think it's just so ridiculous how some people approach others. Um, I mean, I guess doing what we're doing, it's like we approach others with words and ideas, and they, I guess they feel very inadequate, so they have to get real dirty and ridiculous and try to fight in an arena that we're not even trying to fight in, and they try to take it offline and make it real personal and do things that could really truly cause serious harm. And I mean, all we're doing is making our videos, doing our streams and stuff, and it's ridiculous, really, the way that they
Well,
do this.
I think it's a bit of jealousy, to be honest, man. They see that Tonka and those guys, what's going on, Matt, are making good money, and they have their niche, and they, you know, make great content, and to have these people going after them purely because they're more successful than them.
Yeah, that's just a pure lack of understanding of how the world works, how markets work. When somebody comes across a good idea, something that hasn't really been explored, something that is niche, uh, it it sometimes it can be very successful, and that's just the way it works. You start doing something that nobody else is really doing, and that can take off and blow up, and the person becomes uh, they enjoy a lot of success from that. That's just life. That's just how it is in every area. No matter where you're trying to succeed, there are those little cracks that you can exploit and become very successful. I've done that in different business ventures in the past, so I know. I mean, you find something that really catches fire that nobody has thought of before, and it can really blow up really well for you.
Yeah, or you take something that's out there, like, and been done, but you do it in your own way, or something creative and new, as like Tonka
Yeah,
and them have done,
yeah.
and it lights them on fire. I mean, even looking at like your channel, like how long have you been doing YouTube?
I think I started in I believe October of last year, and I was just doing like just this random anti-feminist, anti-social justice warrior stuff that it wasn't really going anywhere. I'd get like a follower or two, and then I started commenting on stuff that was going on in the community, and that was when all the drama started really happening with the Grout server, and then of course it just went from there, went from one thing to another, and now we're in this. The whole thing has changed. Everything has changed the way it is, and the focus and so forth. But that's when my channel started to started to really get its legs. I mean, it really started taking off with the crowd stuff. The Kilroy stuff was just, I guess, the next phase of that. The Kilroy stuff just lasted longer. The crowd stuff didn't last as long as the Kilroy thing.
No, and that's the thing, dude. I started in October, and you're at what, like 2,000 almost now, or maybe a little more. And I'm sitting here at my 200. So you can see that I need to pivot a little. I need to pivot more into the community stuff and talk more to people like yourself and interact with the community, because I started off with the SJW stuff, more feminist focus, and, you know, politics and stuff. And I still love doing the politics stuff because it's good stuff. It's fun to comment and basically talk shit to people about, you know, their mentality on things. And that's why I've kind of started wanting to do live and have conversations with others in the community who are, even if they're opposing views, like it'd just be fun to like challenge their ideals, and not in the like blood sports manner, but, you know, maybe in a, you know, kind of a slight debating manner, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't always have to be screaming and yelling and cursing and throwing in insults and stuff. It's really in the a lot of it has to do with the I guess the context of it, and the people involved with the topic, and how engaging those people are. But I mean, regarding your content, I would say I think the reason why I I am beginning or have seen success, whatever success I have is that it's not just the topic, which I think, I mean, people can pick up on the topic and with all the interest that there is and have success, but um, it kind of it inspired like a lot of thoughts and a lot of opinions from me, and I think that that's really important. Like when you're doing your thing, or if anybody else is trying to do their thing on YouTube, they need to talk about stuff that inspires them, because that causes unique, original opinions and ideas, and that's what people want to hear. They don't want to hear the same thing they've heard 100 times. They want to hear unique takes and different perspectives and new things. I think that that's what really makes a YouTuber stand out, is the uniqueness and the quality of their opinions, and I think that comes from inspiration.
Yeah, and I honestly do agree, because I've seen a shift when it's something that I truly care about and dive into maybe a few videos on it, and like with your stuff, what's going on, guys? With your stuff, like what drew me to you is the Kilroy stuff. Like that's where I started getting interactive with your stuff, was the Kilroy stuff, because honestly, there were a lot of stuff going on out there and a lot of takes, but it was different than what everyone else is doing, minus the fact that, god damn, your recordings sometimes make me freak the fuck out on my smartphone, man.
Oh yeah,
You know
because I got the vertical screen recording a video.
I was like, remember I messaged you, I'm like, what are you recording on, dude? Because I need to get this so I can make recordings like on my lunches and shit with no video and just talking.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of messages from people saying that it just confuses the hell out of them, because they see the screen as a still screen of another video that is, I guess, paused, and so they're watching it on their phone, and it looks like that the video that they're watching is paused, but they're watching a video of a screen of another video. Anyways, I just try to find something that is related to what I'm talking about, so I can just have that on the screen. So
yeah,
I guess I'm gonna try to get away from that, because
well,
as I grow,
unique.
I get more and more shit.
Oh no, you can get shit, but it's unique. Like I literally, when I first started watching you and stuff, I went to press pause or play on that button because I had paused your video, and I went to press play on the top button. I was like, why in the fuck isn't this working? What's wrong with my YouTube? And I'm like, oh, I'm a dumbass.
So you like the way that's unique, that
it's honestly, no one else has it. It caught the shit out of my eye, and then I'm like, I wanted to know what you were using to record, because it makes it easier to do stuff on the fly. And so like when I was watching the Kilroy stuff, and you were pumping videos out like 3 a day and shit, and if you have decent headphones for your cell phone, that's good enough when you're recording from the cell phone screen.
Yeah, I actually, the speaker on my cell phone actually works pretty well to the mic, the built-in mic.
Oh.
That works pretty well as well. I switch back and forth. Sometimes I'll have headphones, sometimes I have the mic. You can tell because you can hear me breathing when I've got the headphones on. I don't really like that much. But despite the fact that I continuously receive shit for doing it on a cell phone, I kept doing it because I would get inspiration, but I couldn't always just jump on a computer to do it. It takes a lot of time, a lot more time and so forth. But if I could just pull out my phone and just start talking, then all the thoughts and the feelings and the opinions that I have are fresh and they're right there. And so it flows much better, and it produces I mean, as far as what I'm saying, as far as what I'm trying to communicate, that is much better. So I mean, if people want to hear a good solid message, something that resonates, then that comes out much better. If they rather just see something that I guess that's more pleasant to view on the screen, then there's a good chance they're not going to get as much of a message that resonates as well, because then I have to think back and try to remember, and it doesn't come out as well usually.
Yeah, either you script it and lose it, because I stopped scripting all of my stuff. But let's enough with us talking about YouTube, and everyone's all, this is a stream about streaming. This is so meta. Like one of my wrenches is like, this is hella meta.
Yeah.
But yeah, so King of Pole, man, like I don't know how many people. I know one of my wrenches was like, dude, I'm watching him beat the fuck out of King of Pole. And so in your most recent video, you've come across actual information that he's running a similar server in the sense of Kraut and T.
Yeah, I think that I somebody confronted me about this just today, like I don't know, a couple hours ago. I won't say who because people like to draw conclusions and stuff, but I guess he was basically putting up sort of a mild defense for King of Pole, and it's somebody who I respect. So I went through the trouble of explaining my reasoning and why I was doing this stuff. And one of the things that he mentioned was that I was putting out the impression that he was running a Kraut and T server, which when I did that last video, I wanted it. Part of my objective was to clear up exactly what he was doing. It's not that his server was a Kraut and T like server. It's that it was actually much worse. The videos that I put out before were my preliminary videos. I ran across that clip of him. I don't know if you remember, but he's talking about Jim's dick. Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, I I want to make a video with this in it. And so I figured, okay, I'll just talk about what where I'm at with this and give my impressions. And that's where I was at that point. But the last video that I put out was a finalized product of my research where I had I had finalized I had reached the point where I felt confident in what was going on, and with the Kraut and T like server, what he was doing was quite a bit worse because they're jumping around on different servers, all kinds of different servers, and they're using private servers, and they're running around and throwing out docs on all these different servers. They're using servers of people who are basically collateral damage guys like Ghastly and AP, Cognitive Thought, different people running around throwing these doxes out there. And King of Pole is involved with all of that, plus the fact that it was on his own server. And when he was told about it, his response was, A, if it's not illegal, he doesn't care about it, and B, fuck Tonka. That was his response. To me, that's bad. That's really bad. When you know that's going on and you feel like it's perfectly fine because you don't like the person that it's targeting, that's not okay. So that's where, when it comes to what he's doing exactly, his server was a dumping point for that stuff at that point, but it was one of many servers. And
so people were bouncing it to everyone and anyone they could and just tossing on everyone's server as much as possible.
Yeah, they wanted to spread it around as much as they could. That's why they went on Disky Fringo's stream and started throwing it out there as well. They wanted it to catch on with all these different people, and they wanted different people in these different servers to essentially pick it up and run with it.
Yeah, that's intending for harm. Like it's not the like Jeff Holiday situation where he actually never doxed anyone or did anything to actually dox someone, but he lied about what the server was involved in, versus this guy is actually taking people's information, spreading it all over the fucking place that he can, and he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, they are they're assisting him with his ultimate end goals, which is to hurt people that he has beef with, people like Joaquin, Tonka, Vamp, and then they have a little beef with Queen of Bants as well, and so he's totally fine with it, and he's clearly working with them, because when those guys jumped on, this is something I didn't mention in my video, and it's because I just forgot to. And it's very important. When those guys jumped on Disky Fringo's stream and started throwing out the docs of Tonka and Queen of Bants, her family, about her kids and Tonka's family and so forth, what they had done, I don't know if I explained this very well in the video, I don't remember exactly, but he has an open Discord voice channel where people can jump in, and then they're on the stream live with him. So all of a sudden, all these anime avatars jumped in there, but King of Pole was with them. He was with them and engaging with them as they were throwing all this stuff out there. So if there's any question about his involvement with them, I mean, there's a lot of evidence to show that he's deep with them.
Yeah, and from what Tonka said, thankfully none of the information about Tonka is correct. It's throwing mud at a wall and hoping something sticks. But thankfully the information out there about Tonka is confirmed to be not correct. And I mean, anyone's not going to say if it is correct, but I trust Tonka as an individual when I'm interacting with him that he's not. Thankfully, none of the information's correct about him. So I've got to say, like I was kind of pissed about the Kraut stuff, but that was never spread. Like the Coach Red Pill stuff, really. Well, that kind of was already out there because he did it to himself, but it was never really spread out there to the world in this fashion. So this was essentially a true doc server, and they were freaking trying to throw wildfire at anything and everything they can. And you have King of Pole directly involved and jumping into people's live streams on this, and that's what's he has he responded? He's protected all his shit. I saw his Twitter's protected now.
Yeah, he's all about misdirection and what they do. People need to understand how these people operate, and King of Pole operates the exact same way. I've noticed what they do is that they will highlight something that is irrelevant. It's either irrelevant or it's a straw man. It's something that was not an issue that's the other person is a position that the other person has never actually taken. Like for example, they're trying to run around proving that King of Pole wasn't a mod or an admin of the Clowntown server, which is it's a pretty significant hub for what they're doing. I never ever claimed that he was a mod or an admin of that server. That was never one of my claims. And yet they run around saying this is not true. He was never a mod. He was never an admin. And that implies that that is what I was saying and that they're proving me wrong, which is they're using that as a way to discredit me. Another thing that they're saying is that King of Pole never directly doxed anybody. And then they show DMs between him and Disky Fringo, where Disky Fringo also says he didn't dox anybody, that Disky still mentions that he's responsible for being involved with them. I never claimed that there's evidence to show that he directly himself doxed anybody. My claim has always been, and I believe it's supported by evidence, that he's involved with the doxing, that he's involved with them, and that there's private servers where we don't know what his participation level is exactly, whether he is himself doxing or whether he's enabling them and helping to spread it. So yeah, these are things I hadn't claimed that they're trying to use as straw men to tear down and discredit me.
Well, they're trying to spin the narrative. Is in all reality, they're trying to their group or others and throw this one idea out there that you said X, Y, and Z. So it flips, and they're like, "Well, he never said that. So it's any of this shit true?" It's common misdirection. It's fucking David Copperfield. You know, it's like they're trying to pull away from the actual facts, and so they throw out this oh, Thomas was claiming this also, but that's wrong. So anything else he says isn't true. I mean, it's not a bad tactic, but the problem is there's too many people who are in the know or too smart to believe this bullshit, especially after hearing the audio that Medicare played and the shit the guy was talking, and then to the other audio to come out, you know?
Yeah, they're real smart with this stuff. They're real smart with how they address this stuff, how they come back with it. It's really weaselly how they do it, and they're really good at it. And I knew what they would do before I released this video, based on the last video that I've released and how they had piled into the comments of that video, where I had that little clip of him talking about Jim's dick. I knew what they were going to do with this video, and that's why they flipped out, because King of Pole left this long comment where he was doing all this shit that they're doing, where he's essentially he's lying, he's misdirecting, and he's arguing against straw men. And I deleted that comment because I knew that I was going to be stuck in a back and forth for days and days and days. And I don't have the time for that. If people are going to see the comment, they're going to assume I'm lying, or it's going to muddy the waters. And I offered him a platform to stream on my channel. If he wants to come on a stream, then he can lay out his argument. I'm not trying to censor him or silence him. I just don't have time for that.
Well, yeah, if you're in a back and forth of text, if you're in text chat, then you guys can have a conversation and maybe do a 30-minute conversation. And that's a lot easier than, you know, waiting for his response and sitting there over and over and over.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of different ways I could handle that, but it's not something that I have patience for, to get in a long back and forth with him, especially when there's a whole bunch of other people commenting. So it shoots my comment down, and if I respond to him to his comment, it will move his comment up near the top. I guess it'd be right below the hearted comments, because that's how YouTube arranges the comments, based on comments that are pinned, hearted, and that the creator responded to. So his comment would be way at the top. Everybody would see all this misdirection, misinformation, and so forth. Then there's a bunch of other people, like 10 people had already responded, and mine would be way at the bottom. It was just a whole bunch. It was a whole bunch of shit that I didn't have time to get into, and I didn't have the patience for. It's not me trying to censor him. It's me not having the time or the patience for that. And I'm willing to give him a platform. I'm willing to allow him. I even told him we had like a little Twitter back and forth. I told him, if you want, I'll take your comment, which is screen capped, and I'll make a video about it. I'll put it out there, everybody can see it, and then I'll respond that way. I just don't have time for the back and forth. This is what they do. They highlight every little tiny thing they can and misdirect, and it's really silly and ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and they try and challenge it with, like you were saying, straw mans or things that are just, you know, freaking direct attacks and challenging the wrong part of it, or throwing in a misdirect. And if you start engaging them, especially these kind of people who, I mean, who has more to lose? Like, I mean, really, probably you, in the sense of you have a building platform and you're interactive in the community and you have a lot of movement right now with your channel and your, you know, your product and what you're building. And what do they have? He just got blasted on the, what, 15,000 people watching stream by Medicare. He's getting fucking play after play by everyone else. And I mean, I haven't really dove in on him because I didn't know enough about him, but, you know, digging through your guys' videos and stuff, and like, just a massive, like, scumbag, dude. And I guess it makes sense if he's sitting on freaking pole and sitting over there fucking jerking off to fucking shenanigans on 4chan or 8chan, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say that when it comes to this group, there is a real significant threat to pretty much anybody who, if they're a creator, especially the bigger they are, there's a real threat to them, because they're looking at these people like trophies in a way, where if they can get them to I guess blow their top, and if they can really affect them in a big way, then they run back to their servers and they laugh among each other, and that's a big win for them. And so they're willing to essentially lash out at anybody randomly. The people that they've chosen were most convenient because they're directly related to backyard blood sports, which is where this community, what this community was basically originally built around, was the backyard blood sports people.
Yeah,
and so like the community, the Kumite has a direct relation to them and directly pissed them off, and some of these other people who are directly related to King of Pole. And so they immediately jumped on them, but they're going after the, like, it's like they're bouncing from person to person based on how closely related they are. Like they've got a hit list. And of course, I'm on it. Mr. Medicare's on it, and they're really digging hard at Mr. Medicare. Like that channel is just full of stuff where they're throwing out pictures saying, could this be him? I think this might be him. They're comparing one known picture that's like it looks like it's a black and white negative image of him. It's a really odd picture, and it looks like he may be much younger in that picture. And they're comparing faces. They're just doing all kinds of shit to try and pull him down. So I believe that they are a real significant threat going into the future. And a lot of the people that they target, they are missing the target, and they're doxing innocent people. So it's a really bad thing, and they need to be known for what they are and what they're doing.
Yeah, well, one of my mods said, he's like, you don't want to attract a cow. He's like, that's how V's problem started. He started shitting on 8chan. I have no problem with 8chan. I have problems with a person like King of Pole. And he's like, before he knew it, they were photoshopping his mom with naked dick pics and stuff. I understand it, because I have no problem with those guys over there. And because they do have a skill set, and they're very good at what they do. But the issue I have is with someone like King of Pole, where you're pushing this idea of you wanna spread out the wrong information or people's information, and it's like, honestly, why? Like, what does it land you other than like lols? That's what it is. It's all about the lols, and that's all they're getting out of it. But they could cause someone real worldly harm.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of a few things. I think that he's gotten his feelings hurt, and he's got this little beef with these people, and so he's perfectly fine with what they're doing and with assisting them in what they're doing. And this goes miles beyond the Crown T thing, because you've got family, you've got kids. I mean, you've got addresses and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of information that's coming out, and a lot of it's not even of the person who they're trying to target. So some random person may be getting harassed or even swatted, and they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, and then you have those innocent situations where SWAT comes in, a person's wearing headphones like mine, and they don't hear him come in, and they react in a weird manner, and they get shot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the nightmare situation where you've got kids, and all of a sudden flashbangs are going off in your house for whatever reason.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I don't understand this, like, this Discord stuff. It's like, I understand Discord's a cool medium, and it's really good if it's used properly. But when you're pushing out people's information, whether it's right or wrong, and you end up like in that situation where the flashbang landed in the baby's crib.
Oh yeah.
It's like I wish these people would. And the kid who was it Fortnite or something and got someone killed. It was just recently someone got doxxed and swatted, and now the kid's charged with murder.
Yeah, someone told me someone who I've been talking to about this situation told me that Zoom was taking responsibility for that. I don't know why he would, or if he actually does have any sort of responsibility for it, but for whatever reason, Zoom was taking responsibility for that incident that you just mentioned.
Really? So why would you be like, oh, I'm the one who did it? And it's like, you're cool, you got someone killed.
Yeah, really. I mean, he's either displaying the trait of a pathological liar, or just an absolute sociopath to be someone who had, if he did that and someone else is charged for that. Which I don't think he did. I think it seems pretty clear that the person who was charged for it actually did it.
Yeah. Well, and then you have one of my audience was saying, what do you say? Did you see the lefty Antifa groups that contacted Discord directly and has a list of like 50 servers, apparently, of Discord servers of fascists, I would assume, or people that they don't like? Where'd you come across this? But either way, like, I don't understand, like, why, one, you would want to take responsibility for killing someone unless you're an actual terrorist. Terrorist cells do that shit. But if you got away with it, what, are you just trying to play it up? Like, I'm such a badass that I got away with this. Like, really?
I think that it really, I think that it does take somebody with a sociopathic mindset, somebody who doesn't really understand human emotion or empathy to feel like such really it's a tragedy what happened with that person, to feel like that is something that that you can gain some sort of points for claiming credit over. I think it really takes a sociopathic mindset for anybody to feel like that.
Yeah, yeah. You've got to have no empathy at all. Like you've got to be legitly a psychopath. And in that mindset, well, I mean, we're also talking about the guy who quote unquote said it was a joke, but was talking about watching child porn. So
Yeah, that yeah, I mean, I'll say this, he's real good at coming up with lies to cover. 'Cause
yeah, no shit.
yeah, and from what I've heard from Joaquin, he's still not he's still not too sure what the real, I guess, what the real situation is there. But I feel pretty fairly confident that that he was watching child porn and having an argument with his girlfriend over it, over both of them watching it together. It seems pretty clear from that situation that that's what was going on. But you know, I guess when you know somebody for a while, it becomes easier for the situation to be muddied and not as clear as it would be to an outsider.
Yeah, and the simple fact that she sounded extremely emotional about it doesn't sound like it was faked. Also, if they were trying to play it up for an audience, this stream right now has more people in it than their stream did, which was them two and two others. You're not, and it was a lock stream, so it's not like you're creating an environment to make those kind of jokes or troll a bunch of people. But that's
Yeah,
the excuse they're using.
yeah. I had to prior to this situation with King of Pole, I had to watch. I had only watched you know, like a short snippet of that stream, got an idea of what was going on. I didn't really want anything to do with that stream. The drama wasn't that interesting to me, and it was kind of sickening. But because this thing happened, and the Backyard Blood Sports guys have a direct connection to this stuff, I had to watch the whole thing. I mean, 5 hours of them talking about watching child porn and the intricate details involved with that. And one thing, that's hard. But for another thing, they claim that it was a script, and there's too, it's too complicated. The dialogue that they're putting out, that they're exchanging, is way too complicated for that to be outlined in the script. And the acting that they would have to do, it was just, it was too on point with how legitimate it came across as. They would have to, I mean, they should be in Hollywood if they're
Oh,
acting.
yeah, she had to have been way trained if she was able to cry on cue like that, to sound that emotional. And that's the push with what is real. If you're playing that game, I think, yeah, you know, Tonka was like, those people tend to not notice that what they're aiming at are aiming for is actually insane sounding to most people. They take pride in their foolishness. And that goes into hand with Zoom's mentality, this King of Poles mentality, and everything else, where they're just spinning and pushing this bullshit.
Yeah, this person I was talking to, who I mentioned earlier, about he's known King of Pole for a little bit, and he said that he seems to have changed recently, where he doesn't seem to care. And I wonder if that's directly related to him getting involved with more of these seedier, the seedier people, and I guess getting enveloped in that culture to the point where he's lost touch, or whatever connection that he may have had with I guess the real world, or how normal people think. Because these people that we're talking about with the anime mafia, the anime avatars, they're not normal people. They don't think the way normal people do at all.
Yeah, they lack any kind of emotion or empathy or sympathy or anything. And living that way, you're going to get so far, and you might find it fun for a while. but sooner or later it's going to catch up to you. And either you're going to be an extremely warped person to the extent where you're starting to do twisted shit, like take responsibility for a murder, or try to get other people's information out there to get them harmed. And you push this, and someone's actually going to end up getting hurt. And these motherfuckers are going to take responsibility. And hopefully, I really hope one of them goes to prison and then one of them learns from it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's really two primary ways to affect them, because they, excuse me. Sorry, I had to cough.
No, you're good.
My mic. But they clearly operate in a way where they feel like they're untouchable. They don't feel like anybody can do anything to them. And I think that there's two primary ways that they can be gotten to. Number one would be the legal aspect, because they're either dancing on the line of legality, or they are just way crossing over it. I mean, if anybody gets swatted in a state that has an anti-swatting law, then that'll be it for them. But another way is they're basically feeding off the reactions of the people who are the creators on YouTube and the YouTube community and all that. And if they are painted as radioactive, if it's established that this group is radioactive and anybody who has anything to do with them is radioactive, then anybody in the YouTube space or area, they will be cut off, and their group will get smaller because people are going to leave them. They're not going to want to have anything to do with them. And I think that is something that they desperately do not want, because if you notice, whenever there's any sort of a stream or a video, like with the V stream, I don't know if you caught that with Joaquin and Anal Vape.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they showed up pretty heavy for that too. And anytime there's any sort of accusations thrown at them, criticism thrown at them, they come out real heavy to AstroTurf against that. It seems very important to them that they defend against this sort of thing, and that people broadly, the broad public, doesn't believe it. So I think that those would be the two ways that they can be affected.
Well, yeah, and Tonka said something really smart in the chat too. He says they fancy themselves in some weird army, in a weird war, when in reality they're just, sorry, it's went up, really weird people who are mad they don't get to talk to their e-celebs, which, I mean, that's what we were talking about in the beginning, where they're going after these people because they have some sort of jealousy, like the Kumite, where they're mad because they're doing well, they're making money in a very niche area, and there's not many people out there like them, and they're mad about it. And it's jealousy overload. And these people, because they don't get to interact on everyday life with anyone, they're not interacting with their e-celebs and the people they enjoy, they're going to take it out on the world. And so now, oh, you didn't respond to my comment in your stream, so I'm going to go ahead and find out your information, put, all these people on it, and then we're going to go around and send it out to any discords we can. Like, it's sad.
Isn't that silly? That's the reasoning King of Poe put out there was, oh, Tonka wouldn't respond to them, he wouldn't address them, and so that's why they just lost their ever-loving mind and started doing all this horrible shit because of that. It's just the silliest, most childish reason ever.
Yeah, and it's the simple mentality of, hey, dude, these people in the community who have bigger following, bigger audiences, are pulling a couple of thousand viewers per stream, aren't going to see everything happening in the stream. That's why there's things called super chat. If you're so good at fucking everything you do, chip in $1 to get noticed. Who gives a fuck? But it's like, oh man, it's and I hate to point this out. It's similar to the like issue you see with other people who were in the blood sports area and now they're in the, I don't know what the hell they're doing, but now they're bringing on fucking ratchety ass women who say some crazy ass shit on their live stream, and everyone wants to suck their dick and talk about how much better they are than their former co-host. Come on. It's the same sad thing there.
Yeah, and there's also deeper reasoning for why Tonka wouldn't address them, and
Oh, of
it's
course.
something that I will probably address in my next video. But they were doing dirt, and he knew they were doing dirt, and he didn't want a part of that because that is absolutely radioactive. That does touch everybody who is involved with it, and people who choose to willingly be involved with it. And that's really, it's the only reasonable response when you know that that sort of stuff is going on. The only reasonable response is to distance yourself from it as much as possible, because we see what happens when people get called out for doing that kind of thing. We saw what happened with the Crown T server and different doxers who have been exposed. They are, they're affected for a very long time. You see, you go to their social blade and it's months of red, and rightfully so.
Well, yeah, and of course, if you put yourself in that position, but these people aren't creators. I mean, maybe they have some little following or something, or they do something, but they're not massively in the community, and so there's no way to really punish them. Like besides them
Yeah,
getting caught and arrested, or discrediting them as you're doing and others are doing.
yeah, it is a broad group. Some of them have been directly affiliated with the Backyard Blood Sports streams, and we're on it. Like Diogenes, he played a heavy role in why Tonka chose not to deal with them. I believe Tui has been on their streams, and then a lot of them are just basically part of the group. They don't go on the streams, but they are involved with the stuff that they're doing. So it's a little bit of both. It's a sort of a mixed bag with them, really.
Well, and what you were saying about making them cancerous and putting it where there's some sort of like you're going to expect some sort of negative situation as a creator if you bring on these kind of people. I mean, look at, and I'm okay with them now. Like I have no problem with them now, but like a Matt, not a Matt, Jeff Holiday, for the longest time, no one would bring him on, even though he did not actually dox anyone, but he lied about it and he lied about the server. And Tonka made a good point in the chat, which was the only reason the Kraut server worked was because it was people with reputations and they cared about. They could be held accountable. With these motherfuckers, they don't care. They're willing to do whatever the hell they can and actually spread it throughout Discord into whatever servers they can get into.
Yeah, that's the perception. Maybe I'm being optimistic in a way, but I personally believe that that one thing that they do care about is whether they are viewed as radioactive, because they are able to go into these streams, go into these chats, and deal with these different people and still expect a certain level of I guess trust, where people don't automatically look at them and think, okay, these people are doing horrible, awful things, and you can't trust anything from them, because they do that. They go into the comment section, they go into chat, and they try to affect the way that other people think. This is part of the power that they have to gain whatever fun that they get. They have to be trusted in a way that they have to be unknown in a way for people to have that certain level of trust that you may have from a random person, where you don't automatically discredit them because you know what kind of dirt that they're dealing with. So I think that does have an importance to them. Maybe I'm being optimistic in a way, but I do think that it will matter to them if people look at them and automatically know who they are and what they're about, automatically discredit and distance themselves from them. I think that will have an effect on them, and it may be one of the only ways that we can affect them, really.
Well, yeah, and getting it out there and known who they are and what they're doing. They don't want that. They want to be as anonymous as possible. But Pohl he's done. Like, I mean, people see him coming in. I mean, unless and he could have been playing that pedophile character that I was like, dude, lay off a fucking Tonka. Like you're starting this shit and you're saying that you hate anti-pedophile people. Are you fucking kidding me? Like you can't take that serious. And if you have these kind of people, you're gonna start seeing trends in their Twitter handles and elsewhere And we got to keep making sure that they are, and we know who they are. And that's why King of Pole, he's privated all of his shit, because now only people that he allows to follow him or, you know, subscribes to him and he allows will be able to see his shit. So he could be saying whatever the fuck he wants, because even in incognito, you can't see it unless you're already following him, right?
Yeah, but I'll tell you this from one thing. I don't really know how. I personally don't know how this works, but someone explained to me that when someone privates their Twitter, they go through and they individually pick the people who can see their tweets. And uh, this happened before I started really making my videos on him. I was one of the people that he picked to be able to see his tweets. And
Oh shit.
yeah, and it's still that way now. That's why I was able to engage in a conversation with him after, where I told him, I'm not going to let you go in my comments and start lying. I don't have the time for that. But if you want to stream, we can stream. If you want to explain yourself that way, that's fine. That's how I was able to have that conversation. For whatever reason, he's chosen to continue to allow me to have access to his tweets.
Which is interesting, because if he actually starts seeing what you're posting, or I'm sure because you have your YouTube on your Twitter, I'm sure he's seen it. What is like to challenge you because you're building an audience, because he's seen you go on like as a co-pilot, not a co-pilot, but an interactive person on the Kumite and other places, that he could discredit you, and hopefully it affects like Tonka and the other guys in the community. I mean, that's the only reason I could think that he wants to be able to see your shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think in one way he does want to be able to interact with me, and in another way, it seems like it seems pathological in a way where he's so addicted to attention, whatever kind of attention that may be, that he's even willing to feed negative attention in a way. He plays real shifty about it. He'll feed the negative attention, and then he will behave as though he wants nothing to do with it. But at the same time, he's feeding it. And so that may be contributing to what he's doing with why he's letting me have access to all of his tweets and so forth. I mean, I really don't know. It's hard. It's hard to read him in one manner of speaking, but this is the impression that I get, that he's just absolutely addicted to attention, no matter what form it comes in.
Yeah, and I think the well, because he allowed Jim to use the audio, correct? And he edited the audio for Jim's Meadowcast, right? Wasn't that the whole
you're asking
thing?
if he,
yeah, because
if he edited.
Well, because remember that the inserts where this is too sexy and stuff, that was him talking. Did you watch all of the Meadowcast?
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding, that wasn't him talking, and he didn't know. I watched part of a live stream that he did that same day. He had no idea what Jim was doing. He even thought that Jim might be trying to pull a bait and switch for whatever reason. I guess he thought that he was important enough of a name that Jim would throw his name out there just so he could get a much bigger audience. So he, at least as of a few hours before the live stream, he didn't even know what Jim had on him. So I personally, I don't think that he was aware that Jim had the audio.
Oh, I don't know. I for some reason I thought when he started the show, he said that this person, the only reason why I'm saying their name is because they know I have this. I'm 99% sure. Oh, it was Danny who gave it to him. Gotcha. Tonka just corrected that. He was just ditching the names. Oh, okay. So either way, but they had edited out a few things with some, you know, actual names used and other things. But it's one thing to get mad and be pissed off, because even if he did know and he started seeing it and wasn't calling it out, he was hoping that it would get him some movement. But then for the shit that you found and others have found to come out and him to start slinging mud, yeah, man, like this guy needs to get put on blast. This guy needs to get ran out of the community and out of freaking the internet to the best of people's ability, because it's not going to end well. And someone's gonna get hurt. Like someone's going to get hurt. You're going to hear about one of those situations where a kid gets killed because they get fucking swatted or whatever crazy situation you can think of. And it's borderlining on that. And these motherfuckers think that they can get away with whatever they want. And what's to say someone doesn't flip around on them? They're just creating a hostile situation, and that God only knows what the fuck's going to happen with it, because they're jealous of people, and people don't pay attention to us. So I'm going to get mad. Like, come on, dude, get the fuck out of here with that childish shit. You build your name in the community by interacting with people in a normal human manner.
Yeah, I mean, you put in your work just like anybody else, and I agree with you when it comes to essentially I guess making him an outcast, which I don't know, part of me always looks at that and I see the humanity in the people that we're dealing with in this way, and part of me I don't know, I don't take any pleasure in that sort of thing, but I look at it like this: if we don't deal with these people in this way, then there's going to be a lot more of them, and they're going to keep on popping up. If there's not a precedent set where the people who are doing this sort of thing, where they are hurting people offline instead of coming at them online in the same way that others are interacting in a normal, ethical way, then it will spread, it will get worse, and it'll set a precedent that this sort of thing is okay. So in a way, we're kind of forced to deal with this in this sort of way, so we can prevent it and stop it from proliferating and becoming a commonplace thing.
Yeah, and for it spreading to those who are like, oh, like, look at these people and look what they're doing and look at the kind of notice they're getting. But it's not good notice. You know what I mean? And that's what's gotta spread. And there, Tonka was saying they don't catch that they're only turning themselves into radioactive property because they don't. I mean, I'm sure they get it, but the more that it happens and the more that people do exposes and call them out for their bullshit, it's the only way we're going to keep them from getting that way. And one of my mods is like, haha, virtue signal. I know he's just fucking with me, but I don't know, man. Like, when it comes to human life, like, it's not a virtue signal because what if I piss them off and they figure out, well, it'd be hard even with my face to find my docs information because I haven't updated any internet shit for the last fucking 5 years. So, I mean, what if they come in and my girl's here, you know, or something crazy happens? I don't know. I want to see these fuckers drowned, and the more information that gets put out there about them and the more that the community talks about them, it's not, oh, we want something drama and something to talk about. No, it's because these motherfuckers need to go.
Yeah, this is something that I don't know why, but it's something that's really important to me. I mean, I have an idea why, because I can imagine. I guess I have, like, I can understand the people who are targeted by this, affected by it, and how bad it could really get if it's not confronted directly. I would say that by addressing this, I lose a lot more than I gain, because for one thing, I could have been making videos about this whole crazy Baked Alaska Aaron Ice Poseidon thing, and I would have gotten a lot more subscribers. My channel would have done much better. I mean, it still gets a bump from doing this, but in a way I'm sacrificing subscribers, because when I cover the Baked Alaska stuff, my channel does very well. So it's not for my personal gain that I'm doing this. On top of that, I'm now one of their targets, and they have shown that they don't have a boundary. There's nowhere that they're willing to stop. So I mean, this thing, it's important enough to me, I guess, where I'm willing to, I guess, step out front and take flack for it, and I guess put myself at risk in a way, because I know that this, I really hope that people understand how bad this thing could really get, and this group, that they are targeting people almost indiscriminately when they're coming against the people that they initially came against. That was convenient, and it was because it was directly parallel to what they're doing. The backyard blood sports thing was an easy hop. Yeah. But now that they have a taste of blood, and it's like they're feeding off of this thing. They're feeding off of the reactions and the impact that it makes and whatever notoriety that they may have gotten. Now they're real excited about it. They go back among their little communities and they laugh about it and they feed off of each other and joking about it and so forth. And now there's not really anybody who's off limits. Like Aqua, one of the avatars, went on to Scrub stream and started playing hentai porn and got him flagged just because he could. And so they're willing to do stuff like that. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether they enjoy the channel themselves, whether they like the person, or whatever the case may be. What is more valuable to them is the I guess the enjoyment that they can personally get from affecting somebody like that and creating like this big rift and running back and laughing about it amongst each other.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm a little tighter with I'm not going to let randos into my stream, like people who I've interacted with and stuff, because I've seen this shit happening. And you know what? I don't want to end up not being able to live stream and having to run a backup channel, because as small as I am, I still am building a community here, and to let anyone personally affect it. Like even when I'm game streaming, I will tell people will follow me on Twitch and stuff. And you know how much of a pain in the ass Twitch is. And people will try to jump into my stream and game with me on Twitch. I'm like, dude, I'd love to get to know you, man, but I can't pull you in because Twitch, you accidentally dropped the N-bomb or whatever. And I'm fucked, you know?
Yeah, Twitch has some real crazy rules, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, it's fucking 10 times worse than here. I mean, you can get away with saying almost any word on YouTube. Even if you get flagged, it'll still just put your channel, it'll put the video as restricted content or age controlled, you know? But yeah. Twitch, I mean, one really good friend of mine, and they do like conservative commentary, is Revenge of the Sis. Those fools literally just had to fight to get their channel back because they got a full, like, not just a ban, but like they had their channel fully removed because they played a clip from something.
Oh man, wow!
And showed no nudity. It was like a BBC documentary piece, and they showed a piece of it, and it got them a full ban. Like someone reported them or something on something that video had in it. If you would have watched the whole thing.
Yeah, people give YouTube a lot of shit for the censorship and stuff, and I think it's well earned by YouTube, and I think that they go too far, but they do seem to be better about it than most other social media platforms. I mean, there's a lot of really crazy stuff that they allow, luckily to their credit.
Yeah, and everyone wants to bash on YouTube because of some of the shit that has happened, and you know, conservatives and slightly right-leaning people getting, you know, fucking strikes and other things. But in all regards, man, this platform is pretty damn free. When you can come on a live stream, shit. I mean, look at the stuff you used to see in like Andy's chat and stuff. Like if you can get away with saying that stuff, like it's a pretty open platform.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff is said on a lot of streams. I mean,
oh shit, yeah, it is.
Some of it's not said on Andy's stream just because it's illegal in Canada.
Yeah,
but a lot of it's said on a lot of streams. And
well, look at Baked Alaska's. Like, you know, like using the live chat off of OBS, and it's like people tossing in the freaking 1488 and the kill the Jews and all this crazy shit. It's like, dude. Like, if you did that on Twitch, your channel would be gone like that. Like, people want to bitch about YouTube, and there are some problems with the algorithm. I'll give them that. But when it comes to freedom of speech, like, it's not as bad as everyone wants it to be, you know?
Yeah, and when it comes to just, I guess, having like open streams where you can have just anybody come on there, it would be nice if that could be done. I mean, especially for smaller channels that wouldn't just get just avalanched with people. I mean, that's kind of a nice thing to be able to do, just to have people come in and you chat and all that. But it's people like the anime avatars that run that play this stuff that causes the channel to get striked and so forth. And so you can't just have like a good, fun, normal, casual experience because of people like that.
No, and those are just shitheads. And the longer it goes on, the more people are going to talk about it. The more people are going to point out how horrible they are. And like you said, like Tonka said, the more they become toxic, the better it is for us. Like because you're not going to get they're not going to get as much time, and if you're running an anime avatar, people are going to assume you're with those fools, so you might have to change up your avatar. But you know what? Fuck it. If you want to be anonymous, don't run an anime avatar when you have a group of anime trash bags running around freaking doxing the shit out of people on servers, you know?
Yeah, and people are gonna they're gonna have to start using their judgment as well when it comes to this stuff, because like in my last video, there were a few of them, maybe three or four, who didn't have an anime avatar, but they were with that group and they were going in every comment spamming the same thing, the same criticism or whatever, trying to misdirect. And so people are gonna have to not just look out for anime avatars, but they're gonna have to use their judgment and look out for people who are trying to stir up shit. People who have no good intention at all in mind, but to just muddy the water and to cause trouble. And that's one of the things that I want to get out there. I want when I do my next video, I want to hopefully clearly lay out how they operate, what they're trying to do, and how to spot them, because they're not always going to be so obvious with their anime avatars. I mean, they're much smarter than that. So hopefully people will have a good understanding of what to look out for, because these people, they have zero good intentions. They just want to fuck shit up. That's all they want to do.
Yeah, and I think that'd be a good idea for those creators who want to know what these fools are thinking and doing, is like, hey, here's some common things they do, and here's some things that I've noticed over the time of interacting with these shitheads. And it gives out the mindset of, here's what you can do to combat this, you know, and here's what I recommend. I think that's not a bad idea, man. I think it's a good way to go about it. It'll get more knowledge out there to people who like me. Like, I'm not digging into a lot of streams or watching a lot of stuff. I have my streams I watch and my streams that I interact on, but there's other stuff like where they're maybe on at a time where I'm not able to watch, and you have these people coming on and doing this crazy shit in the chat, you know?
Yeah, and another thing people are going to have to watch out for is, I mean, a commonly accepted form of evidence that people have been able to put out there is a screenshot. You show a screenshot of a Discord conversation, a DM, wherever the case may be, and that's commonly accepted. Okay, that's what happened. That's the situation. But now we see that they're putting out all these fake screenshots. They're generating all this fake stuff to try and frame people and try and cause to sow division and sow discord, so to speak, among people. And so people are going to have to start, when they see screenshots, they're going to have to start vetting the source. Where did this screenshot come from? Where did you get that screenshot from? Because they're trying to put that stuff out there to try and jack up the community, or whatever the case may be. Which I hate the term community, but there's just not a better word for it.
Oh, the arena. I don't know. Like, it's those of us who like to live stream, like to interact with, the different creators, and it's a community and all right. And they're just, these other fuckers are just out there trying to, screw with it, and because of jealousy, as we stated, and it's the push towards that mentality of jealousy. Like, when you're envious of other people, you're going to do some crazy shit if you allow it to impact your life that much.
Yeah, it really just reveals how immature and childish and petty that they are, where they're coming from with this stuff.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to toss in there? I know you said you didn't have a lot of time tonight, so I just want to make sure I'm being respectful of your time.
No, you're perfect. I was about to mention that I was gonna have to hop off. I have to get up early in the morning for work. So yeah, you have perfect timing. It was a great conversation, man. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate what you're doing and everything. If you want to tell people who don't know you in the chat, I mean, there's not many, or anyone who catches it later about your stuff, go for it, man, and I'll drop it in the description for you.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, Thomas Ellington, Twitter @Juiceservative. Those are really the two main platforms that I use. I just use Twitter mainly to communicate with people. But yeah, that's my details.
And if you aren't subscribed to him, guys, go ahead. And if you're not subscribed here, feel free to do it. I do love the support and appreciate you guys coming by and watching. And let's go ahead and thank Thomas Ellington for coming on as my second guest of my live stream series.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, thank you, and good night, guys.